Salutations, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? Today, I'm going to be reacting to a Jubilee video. Shout out Jubilee. And this one is featuring Charlie Kirk versus college students that are liberal. Um, I'm not expecting much, but I am very interested to hear the arguments. And then I'm going to give my own 2 cents as well. So, let's dive right into it.
No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
Hello, everyone. I am Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, and I am surrounded by 20 woke college kids. My first prompt is, abortion is murder and should be illegal.
If I was in that situation, would I get up? Because I think you got to first come, first serve to debate the topic. Abortion's illegal, is murder, and it should be illegal. I mean, you think all abortion is illegal and a murder. Just so we're on the same page, because terminology is always important in these type of conversations. Define murder. Let's define it real quick. The unlawful, premeditated killing of one body, a human being, by another. Unlawful is subjective. Unlawful. There's no good lawful reason. Unlawfully. All
right.
Can I maybe go?
She was definitely there first, I'm not gonna lie. They wanted to get there fast.
All right.
Can I maybe go?
Okay, hello, what's your
Hi,
name?
Juliana.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Can
you.
we get our terms right first?
Yeah.
Okay, abortion is the forcible ending of the viability of a being in utero, otherwise known as a fetus. Do we agree that's what abortion is?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great. And then murder is the intentional taking of life, different than killing or sudden death. So murder would be the intent, with intent, taking another life. Do we agree with that?
Okay.
Okay, and then we agree that murder in general in society should be illegal.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So yeah, no, I do want to preface.
Murder in society should be illegal. Sure. Murder is the intention, the premeditated mindset of taking one's life. Okay. And then abortion is removing the stuff inside. Okay.
Preface that I'm a Catholic. So I think one really important thing that the Bible says is to not judge. And just going back to the topic,
to not judge.
I think there's a big difference between, cells in utero than a living, breathing, existing being. And while I do believe it's murder, and that's just my personal belief, right? I don't believe in telling people.
I don't. You can't believe it's murder. And then I'm guessing what you're about to say next is not going to align with the dismissal of not allowing murder to take place, especially when you already say that there's a difference between what is in the womb versus outside being a living, breathing person. That distinction is exactly why you don't think it's murder.
What to do with their bodies. That's not up to me, and it's not up to us as well as Christians to judge.
Should we prevent?
I dislike I don't really like the movement being centered around can't tell what someone can do with a woman's body, all that. I think that is a weak argument, personally. But overall, I would say a better argument. Well, I won't go into that, but yeah.
Murder in society?
For sure, yeah.
Then it should be illegal.
When a majority,
but I think
of
that
the
it's really
flags are
different, right?
raised.
Because
are raised, and new speaker may step in. They all raised their flags because she said her murder.
For sure, yeah.
And
I
it
mean,
should be illegal.
but I think that it's really different, right? Because, you know, these people aren't.
Sorry, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, what's your name?
Naima.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, can I just ask, at how many weeks do you think that a fetus is viable?
Well, viability and moral worth are two different things.
No, but I'm asking you, at how many weeks do
Well,
you think
at
a
about
fetus
20
is viable?
weeks, a baby can survive outside of utero.
So it's actually 24 to 26
Well, it's
weeks?
20. The youngest ever in a NICU unit actually happened in San Diego, not far from here, and survived at 20 weeks.
Okay, so under Roe v. Wade,
Picking an exception doesn't prove anything. There's a lot of exceptions. There's even like, let's just say this. I don't mean to make it complicated, but I don't like what he did there. He picked the rarest of exceptions to prove the rule, right? There's a reason why there's standards and generalities in the first place. Little tricks here that doesn't allow for a full conversation, but I don't think he truly believes if I take every 20 week. To be honest, I don't even know, but based off his explanation, he said 20 weeks based off an example versus 24 to 26 being the general consensus. Well, let me look that up. Let me do my due diligence, ladies and gentlemen.
93% of abortions happened in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. That's 93% of the abortions happened well before a fetus is technically viable
For
as
sure.
a form
so
of life.
Let's go into
23
viability.
and
So
24
what is it
weeks.
about, let's say, a 6-week baby that has a heartbeat, its own DNA, fingerprint, brain waves, that is less moral worth than an 88-year-old right now with dementia in a home down the street? That person requires assistance, requires help. Why is it that the 6-week baby is of less moral worth?
Well, first of all,
I'm gonna let her talk. This is not me.
it's not a baby,
responding
it's a
to everybody.
fetus.
Well, what does fetus mean?
A fetus is in utero.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
What the f? I'm sorry, is this
It
a
means
language class?
little human being.
Ugh, his smile is very creepy. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that was a very
Smiling is
condescending-
creepy.
No, your smile specifically.
Got it,
But
thank you.
let's go
So-
back to
so-
we're losing track here.
No, but is what species is the fetus?
The fetus is not a species yet. It's technically classified
No,
as
no.
a parasite
No.
until it is
wow.
viable.
So,
now I want to
well,
talk to you
hold
about
on,
something very
I
quickly.
can't let you get past that. Are you
I'm
saying
sorry.
you're saying a baby is a disease or a tumor?
I hate the
A parasite is not a
argument
disease
and
and a
the
tumor.
fetus
Those are not the same
argument I
thing.
hate as
A
well.
Okay,
parasite
parasite.
is defined as something that cannot survive outside of its host. A baby, before it is viable, cannot survive outside of a woman's womb.
Got it. So let's
Therefore,
extrapolate that.
It is
Are-
not a living organism.
Are old people with Alzheimer's and dementia that are being assisted every day, are they parasites?
No, they're not parasites. They're human beings who are on the brink of death.
Got it. So my
They're not going to be
my
able to survive.
4-month-old that requires mom's breast milk and requires daily changes and feedings cannot survive without its own. Is my 4-month-old a parasite?
Your baby can breathe on its own. Your baby can drink water from its mouth to its stomach.
But it cannot.
baby can
it
eat
hunt?
food.
Can it gather? Can it reason?
But that's not what qualifies something as being a
okay, so
living
let's-
organism.
then
Being
let's
a
get
living
back to
organism
terms.
simply means, can you survive outside of a womb, outside of your host?
Got it. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. Why does that then equate to moral viability?
It equates to scientific viability.
Why? Under what standard?
Because it is not alive, and you
Oh,
are
it's-
advocating for the rights of something that is not technically a life,
Got it. So what is something
while
that has
sacrificing the needs of the human woman who is alive.
Got it. So, but
Some things I
a
don't
mom
like
can
what she's
survive
saying,
Yes.
but
without the baby in
she's
her.
like
Uh-huh.
low-key
Right?
cooking
Yes.
Charlie
The baby
Kirk.
cannot survive without the mom.
Yes.
But a mom cannot survive without her lungs. So it's not her body, it's in her body. It's not
Yeah,
her
I
DNA,
know.
so it's not her choice. So it's
It actually is directly her DNA.
it's
It is 100%. It's 50% of her DNA.
half her DNA. He's gonna win, I'm
Pretty-
telling you. This could take a while.
Okay, first of all,
Do we have our terms correct? We agree?
Actually, no. So first of all,
got
I
it.
would like to refine our terms. I
Got
have
it.
2 points to bring up after that, though. So you define murder as like intentionally like killing a human being.
Mhm.
I think that's a very poor way to define murder, because if someone were to like break into my home and point a gun at the heads of me and everybody I love, and I intentionally kill them to prevent them from from killing my family, I don't think I murdered them, right? So I would define murder as the unjustified termination of a human life.
You're making a good point. Let me further clarify
Which
that.
is correct.
So self-defense is
Right.
very warranted.
Exactly, right?
But I can see where you're going to go with how that has to go with abortion, but we can go down that journey in a second.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I kind of do want to give you my argument insofar as why I'm pro-choice, why I think it's justified. But first, I think that, you know, your position is quite absurd, right? Because you're saying that it is murder to kill a human being, right, at any point in development, especially when it's in the mother's womb. My question to you would be, well, does this make women with IUDs murderers? Because it is the case that in some scenarios, an IUD will allow for conception to occur, meaning there's a unique human life there, but it will prevent its implantation, intentionally killing it.
Well, no, preventing implantation is not necessarily the same thing as terminating a fertilized egg. For example, if you take Plan B, again, it's not the same thing. Preventing the production of progesterone is not the same thing as terminating a being that has been fertilized. You do not know for a fact that the egg has been fertilized. You do not know that when you have an IUD.
Okay, yeah,
Do you?
so preventing fertilization or implantation to the uterine lining is killing a conceived zygote. So what happens? A sperm goes into the egg, right? The egg becomes fertilized. It's a conceived zygote. In some cases, it will prevent the implantation of the conceived zygote, killing the conceived zygote.
In some cases, correct.
So what do you say in some cases, women with IUDs are murderers?
Of course not. They're not murderers. We do not know for a case. That's like
Interesting. He's kind of cooking. He's kind of cooking right now. Well, based off his argument, I mean, he thinks it's murder. Based off his argument, he might have to concede this. Preventing the zygote from obviously doing what it's supposed to be doing, essentially killing it, calling a zygote of living life, is basically what you would have to concede, or you would have to not concede that a zygote is a living life. Depends on where he deems life inherently. So that's the big one here.
like saying that.
So
everyone
what's
that
the
takes-
difference between an IUD killing a conceived zygote
Because-
and like a mother going to Planned Parenthood and killing the fetus in her womb?
Well, so you're asking two separate things. If they knew for certain, to be more clear, that I have a fertilized egg and I'm going to take a drug to prevent that fertilized egg from attaching to their uterine wall, then yes, that is an act of killing or murder, of course.
Okay, so
But-
do you
but
think
you
all
do-
murderers should go to jail?
Do I think all murderers should go to jail? I mean, on third degree
Yes.
murder. However, no, I don't think women that got abortions or had IUDs should go to jail, because I think that they have
Yes, you think. How do you not think all murder should go to jail? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. There is no murder that they should not go to jail. I'm very confused.
been deceived by mass culture and mass propaganda. Secondly, the people who should go to jail are the abortionists, who are the ones that have been putting the abortion pill, the ones that have been
Wait, so he thinks the people who technically murder the kid shouldn't go to jail, but the abortionists, so the people doing the abortion should go to jail. So he's putting all the blame on the abortionists, the people committing the procedure. Very interesting.
doing procedures, the ones that have been going into the third trimester and breaking babies' backs and inserting them with syringes while the babies are crying and suffocating, being born alive, and then being dead on the operating table. That is who should go to jail.
Oh,
That was actually the best point somebody made.
we'll have to talk
I know.
about it.
Dean was cooking. Man, no.
Okay, whenever I'm talking about this discussion, I always go to the question of what about in the case of the mother when her life is in danger? Because I'm a big believer. I don't know. I'm still iffy on if I think it's or if it's murder or not. But even so, I mean, I don't want to say murder is justified. Guys, wait. Let me just get this one point, and then you can vote me out. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Say the mother gets pregnant and she knows that if she gives birth, she's going to die. She has some kind of health complication. Then what do you do in that
Cesarean
case?
section.
I don't know what that means.
It's a C-section. They
Oh,
do an
cesarean section.
insert.
Guys, wait, hold on. Just give me one second.
They go right below the belly button and they deliver the baby, and after she doesn't have to give birth. It's technically birth, but it's much safer. So that's actually safer than an abortion procedure.
He said a C-section is safer than an abortion procedure by cutting open the woman's stomach. Is he serious? Does he believe that? I don't think he believes that. A C-section is safer than a. Well, hold on. Am I tripping? I'm comparing two things. Let me retract my mind because I'm doing two things at once. A C-section is safer than abortion. Why? What is his argument?
It's technically birth, but it's much safer. So that's actually safer than an abortion procedure. Sorry, Lily. Hello, how are you?
Hi,
What's your name?
Deedon.
Nice to
Nice to
meet
meet you. I would say with abortion, I think it's very complicated, but I think the issue that I have primarily with your stance of being pro-life, that there's no nuance. There's women who are being forced to travel hundreds of miles to access abortion care, even in cases of rape in certain states that they're not giving any sort of allowance for that. And I think, a lot of people who are pro-life allowance for that. And I think, a lot of people who are pro-life, they say that they're pro-life, but I feel like they're really pro-birth because with firearms, the United States has some of the highest firearm deaths out of OECD nations, right? And we can acknowledge that that's for children who are actually living and breathing. So I feel like abortion, while yeah, it is, I can definitely see your point. I just think that it should be.
I don't think he proved how it's murder at all. I don't, because there's subtle inconsistencies with his position. If he thinks it's murder, the unlawful taking of a life, premeditated, and obviously in actuality of taking the action of getting rid of the life, the fact that he puts no blame on the women who obviously have an intentionality to get rid of said person. Anytime you set some up and plan and conspire to do something, you're involved in the action. And then, of course, the other part about it that I'm confused is one, he mentioned viability. The viability point wasn't good. I think he got pretty cooked on that one. But the aspect of differentiating different points of time and figuring out exactly when life starts in the first place so you can equate it to taking a life. Does he have a solid ground? And if he does have a solid ground, then obviously we get into the punishment. So some subtle inconsistencies that I thought Dean did
Be
the
allowed in
best
some
to
circumstances,
Okay.
yeah.
Great. I'm happy to get into the gun violence stuff later, but I want to really stay focused on abortion.
Right.
You can say you see my point. Can you see the world also where, since we know it's a human life, that it should be illegal since we don't allow murder in our society?
Well, that's where I have an issue because abortion is not being done willy-nilly. It's like the life of the mother is always.
How many abortions do you think we have every day in America? Just guess.
I'm not sure.
Guess.
I'm honestly not sure. Maybe, I don't know, 1,000?
4,000 a day. So
4,000.
it is kind of willy-nilly. We have 1.6.
4,000 abortions a day compared to the population of people is not willy-nilly. That's an exaggeration. Still, I mean, you could argue still. That's the valid point.
I just want to clarify, the thing that you're aiming for is less abortion, right? That would be what you would want, or at least no abortion.
Eventually, it's also a protection of those that can't protect themselves. But yes, and that's why after the reversal of Roe versus Wade, we saw abortions go down dramatically in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi. We saw thousands of babies that are now alive and well that are able to have amazing lives thanks to the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
I don't think a lot of that is true.
Able to have in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi. We saw thousands of babies that are now alive and well that are able to have amazing lives thanks to the reversal of Roe versus Wade.
I don't think a lot of that is true.
Well, it is, but
it's not true because when you make abortion illegal, it doesn't actually decrease the amount of abortions that happen.
That's a nice talking point. In Texas, the numbers show differently. The birth rate has gone up.
Yeah, legal goes down, but illegal abortions still happen. Abortions still happen outside of whatever data you're showing.
That's not true, but let's just say so. Well, if you
40?
if you want to, well, first of all, if you count the abortion pill, you're right, but that's a separate thing than a chemical abortion and surgical abortion are different things. And I'm not debating. I'm not debating you.
Fair, he is only debating her, but at the same time, a good point was made, and that's why defining what life is and life where it starts is something that should have happened right at the beginning, because he's able to kind of have his cake and eat it too by making some of the points and distinguishing certain elements of abortion because of said explanation. Because he didn't determine when life actually is. So he's able to give that leeway, right?
Debating her. So if you want to do the flags and come back in, try and be faster next time. So let me ask you this. So the question is, we should try to limit unjust suffering of human beings, right?
Sure.
Okay, that's my position, is that there's unjust suffering of anywhere between 1.4 to 1.6 million abortions a year of human beings that are being massacred in the womb.
I wish this.
And so that's not a
morality
woman's
was
rights issue, that's not a
actually,
men's
like,
rights issue, that's just a human rights issue.
consistent.
Okay, the best way
I
to
don't think they
decrease
care about
abortions
the
happening
human
is proper
beings'
sex
lives as much as they
education.
say they do
Limiting
based on how
abortion
they
and
act.
making abortion illegal does not actually decrease the amount of abortions that
So
happen.
what is your evidence of that?
What is my evidence of that?
Because we have increased sex education in the last 30 years. We have
Our sex education is so bad in America.
Well, by bad, what do you mean by that? We have more access to
Getting
birth
off
control
the
for
point a
young
little bit.
kids. We have more kids that are learning to use birth control at a younger age. We have more of that in our public school system, and we've seen all the trends actually go in a negative direction. So, in fact, we see that the more sex education there is, the more disturbing those trends are. So you say that. Let me ask just one more thing. You say that if we make
I don't
abortion
know.
illegal, people will still.
Let me have to hear his data sets, because there's a lot of factors and a lot of. Let me hear
Your evidence of that.
What is my evidence of that?
Because we have increased sex education in the last 30 years. We have
Our sex education is so bad in America.
Well, by bad, what do you mean by that? We have more access to birth control for young kids. We have more kids that are learning to use birth control at a younger age. We have more of that in our public school system, and we've seen all the trends actually go in a negative direction. So, in fact, we see that.
what trends go in the negative direction. You said, what trend? I'm so confused. What trends he's talking about, to be honest. Okay.
The more sex education there is, the more disturbing those trends are. So you say that. Let me
What
ask just one more thing.
trends? I
You
don't
say
know what
that
trends
if we make abortion illegal, people will still do it. Should we then just make gang violence legal because?
No, I'm
people
saying
still
if you
do it?
actually wanted to decrease the amount of abortions that happen, you wouldn't be advocating for to make abortion illegal. You'd be advocating for all
Does
of these
that
other
logic
things.
apply to stealing, looting, kidnapping, arson, and murder?
Well, actually, it does, because those are results.
What? I don't know, man. He's make something illegal to decrease the amount of the illegal action taking place. Yeah, she's not going to be able to
Of
answer
different
this.
societal
so-
issues
so-
that you should be
Got it.
educating
So we
yourself
should
on,
make-
rather than making it
so we
illegal
should
on
make-
the front.
Should we make kidnapping, arson, burglary, murder legal because they're symptoms of something else?
We should be helping society heal from
No,
those
you got to
things.
answer the question. We want less of those things. Should we just make them legal and we'll get less looting?
Actually, I'm gonna let someone else.
Thank
take
you
it.
very much.
Charlie, so condescending. That smile when you just think, "Oh, I got her. I got this little college student." That's kind of cringe. I'm not gonna lie.
Hi, Parker. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Big TikTok guy here.
So, like, pedophiles, people who were married to children in the past and normalized in that society, should they go to prison?
Should pedophiles?
Like,
go
if
to
you could go
prison?
back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison that married those children because it was normalized? They were deceived into thinking it's okay. Would you put them in prison?
You got to slow down.
Sorry.
Pedophiles should get the death penalty.
No. So you'd go back in the past, you give them the death penalty, even though they were deceived into thinking it was okay. But you said people who get abortions who are women shouldn't
Hold
go
on
to
a second,
prison.
but it's not currently illegal.
Okay. Regardless,
pedophilia
at
is
that time,
current.
at that time, it wasn't.
No, I would not go back and retroactively enforce laws where things were currently not illegal.
You wouldn't put pedophiles in prison in the past.
Hold on a second. When was it illegal? When was it legal in America?
Well, child marriage was legal in America throughout the early 1900s and especially throughout most of society for thousands of years, especially in the Old Testament.
I hate there's a little smugness to him that doesn't make what he's saying attractive to the audience, right? You're not there going to understand. You're there to kind of make them look stupid. I feel like people need to start switching their mindset a little bit on the intentionality of why they enter a conversation. But
And in the Bible.
those are
right.
Well,
that's
hold on a
college
second.
student,
So
don't expect.
where is the Levitical law that allows you to marry a child?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name the verse?
Well, I can't name the verse, but the particular conditions that are listed in the Bible are that you have to be physical maturity and emotional maturity, which is extremely vague and throughout society has been seen to be met at puberty.
There is not a verse, but let's kind of go
Okay,
back.
so when is
let's
the
go back
age of
to
consent
abortion.
under your view?
Let's go back to, well, generally agreed upon it's 18 years old. But let me ask you
But you, because you don't go based on what's generally agreed, you go based on the Bible.
I say 18 years old, but let me ask you a question.
Where's that in the Bible?
When does life begin?
Conception.
Like conception, great. So good. So should we protect all life at conception?
I care about sentient life, not cellular life.
So when do brainwaves start?
Do you think brain dead people should be able to pull the plug on, like a family should be able to pull the plug on an individual
Hold
in
on,
the family that's brain dead?
You got to answer the question. When do brainwaves start?
You can see brainwaves around 6 to 8 weeks, which in brain dead individual there are brainwaves as well. So the brainwaves necessary to produce a subjective experience are met until around 18 through 26 weeks in the womb.
Can you see it from my perspective that at 6 to 8 weeks those brainwaves will actually increase, not decrease, if allowed the process of development to continue?
Did you know those same EEG scans exist in brain dead people that you don't think are sentient?
No, but the difference with the brain dead people is that the likelihood of those brainwaves actually increasing is very low at 6 to 8 weeks, when by 15 weeks they
It seems like he looked up he researched a way to counter the difference between people who are comatose versus people who are fetuses, by adding a wrinkle, because no rational person will go like, I consider life the appearance of brainwaves and whether or not they can increase, because you could also argue that a comatose person can come out of a coma potentially. But interesting talking point. Talking points that are just said without believing what is being told, I always find skeptical. This is a talking point that I found interesting, but it's possible he thought about brainwaves and whether or not they can increase. My thing is, for this argument in particular, in terms of when does life start, if you said conception, then the brainwaves inherently don't matter in regards to the situation we are talking about, right? So is it conception or is it 6 weeks?
They can hear the
it's
mom's
impossible.
voice.
It's irreversible sensation. That's what brain death is.
Hold on,
apparently didn't know that.
But no,
it's not coma.
But you're doing a red herring. Go back
No,
to
it's not. What's a red herring?
A red herring is where you avoid the topic and you say something that is adjacent or symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually what I'm saying.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby, if they're allowed to continue to develop, what ends up happening?
At a certain point, it will become a sentient being in the future. The same way that if I keep engaging in sex with my girlfriend, there'll be a baby in the future. Yet I don't care about the
unless
sperm.
you're infertile, which we don't know. But let's see the process of development, right? Why
do you want to answer my question yet?
Why do you have the ability or the right?
Should those child P3Os go to prison?
The process of
should the pedophiles go to prison?
From 1904. How many?
What is this argument? Is this a new argument that people are creating? The pedophiles in the past, because his argument when it comes to abortion is related to the idea that what is he trying to connect? He's trying to connect determining your moral standard or having a consistent moral standard. Is that what he's trying to connect? I think that's what it is, because he keeps on mentioning whether or not they should go to jail. So I think that's what he's trying to determine. I gotta keep on.
Pedophiles are alive in 1904.
They're not alive, right? I meant like if you can go back in the past, hypothetically speaking, and you could put them in prison. Would you put them in prison?
I would have killed them myself if I was alive.
Okay, so then you don't apply it based upon what people are deceived to believe. You apply it based upon what you consider to be moral.
It's
so the women who had abortions, you think they should go to prison.
No,
so why should women who get abortions go to prison? But someone like my mom who told me that Santa Claus exists shouldn't go to prison because they're both sent.
This is not going to be a constructive debate if you keep on talking over me.
Well, I was finishing my statement. You were talking over me. But go for it.
Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think it would be a good thing if we had less abortions in America?
It depends on the context. Like, are the abortions prior to sentience?
Yes.
Because I think
all abortions.
No, it would not be necessarily better
you against
unless it is the
abortion?
case that the people didn't want the abortions and it would be negatively impactful to their health medically speaking.
Are you against late-term abortion?
After sentience, yes.
Okay, so you believe in an 8-week abortion ban?
Yeah. No, I don't. Sorry, I believe in an abortion ban after 18 through 26 weeks.
Okay, that's a more reasonable position. I have to give you credit for that.
It's similar to Trump's 15 weeks.
Yeah, so why do you think that most people don't share your view on that?
Well, people just don't really know what sentience is.
So he's going the sentience route. No, let me not pause.
there's not a lot of conversation about abortion, and these conversations are very difficult. Like they're conceptually hard to go through, and I understand why a lot of people don't understand
for sure.
their positions on it.
So
but I think people
you
have
are where most
you're cutting
Americans
me off. I thought we weren't cutting people off.
I was actually complimenting you.
He was cooking Charlie Kirk. I don't know. You should have let him go. I don't want to keep pausing and explaining everything.
So I just have one question. There's like in any case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do
where,
think that a
one
couple
second.
cases
Hold
it
on.
is legal?
If
She's way too aggressive. Relax. I'm gonna skip ahead. I'm gonna listen to her.
if cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst growing numbers of OBGYNs,
Okay.
that is the only case where abortion should be
Do you
allowed.
think there should-
But people say that it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay. So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was
Well,
going to give
I-
birth
I
and
do
she
have
would
a
no wait.
daughter.
Oh, and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her
Well,
rapist baby?
That's awfully graphic. To answer
It's
the-
no, but it's a real life
Okay,
scenario
well,
that happened.
That Charlie, don't be a child. Like this is a real life scenario. Answer the question.
calm
To
down.
many
The
people.
answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's 2 ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in rape. One is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one is which?
Your daughter was
which
probably
person here was
hopefully
which person
conceived
here,
by a somewhat
which person here
loving
was
couple.
conceived by rape? Tell me which one was conceived by rape.
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights and
But
it's all
that
human
doesn't
beings.
matter.
So
It's about your daughter who has to give birth to it and is going to be tortured by that
Hold
for
on a
the rest
second.
of her
You-
life.
you are
That's
not-
going to take away every
Hold on a
freedom
second.
she's ever going to have.
Well, hold on.
That's going to
Every
ruin
freedom.
her life. She's
You
going
know
to
what?
grow up and she's going to
Abortion
be
is not a
attached to another
victimless
thing.
crime. The point is how you were conceived is irrelevant. What human rights you get.
But-
Hold on one second. If a person conceived in rape walks down the side of the street, it's not like they don't get First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights.
It's
or
not
Fourth
about
Amendment
that
rights.
person.
The worst thing to do to the daughter is to then
About
say,
the
"Hey,
daughter.
we're gonna go
Well, it
murder the
should be
being
about the baby.
inside of you."
They wouldn't even know. Like, listen.
They wouldn't know.
Listen.
But wouldn't it
No,
be
no.
a better story to
No,
say
it
something
wouldn't.
evil happened and we do something good in the face of
No.
evil instead of saying we're going to do evil and then murder the being because
I just wish that Republicans who say this stuff, like they bring all these morally loaded words and talk about good versus evil. I just wish like they held this standard consistently for life across the world, but they don't. There are certain lives they just don't care about, i.e. like immigrants. They could care less about immigrants, right? They could care less about countries that are suffering across the world. They want to be isolationists. They can care less about other people. Do they? I don't even know if they really care about people in foster care. And you may say you do. And the reason why I'm being so hypercritical in particular, because Charlie Kirk is a Republican, that's why I'm talking about it. But the reason why I'm being so hypercritical is like people or these pro-lifers who make these moral statements so much. Where are you when people are suffering in the world? Like I'd never see y'all making it a habit to care about life as much as you do. Like compared to actually like humanitarians who do whatever means possible to make sure that all life is getting the opportunity to live a joyful life. Where is that same level of care that you have for this unborn baby compared to other humans across the world? I'm just confused why it's never consistent. I would be more willing to buy the care if that was consistent. But people are gonna, he donated X, Y, and Z. He should do much more than he's already doing. I'll keep it that simple.
we're gonna pander to the evil. No, what makes the West great is that we do good after evil, not evil after evil.
It's not about the being in the cells.
No,
It's not about. No. I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
we're
No,
both-
I'm
we're both
speaking.
clumps
No,
of cells.
I'm speaking. No,
We're
I'm
both
speaking.
clumps
No,
of
I'm
cells,
speaking. No,
okay?
I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
Want to say it one more time?
No, I'm speaking.
Got it.
Thank you. So it's not. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
I
the
know you don't
person.
care about them.
No. I'm talking about the person.
I'm not gonna lie, he keeps on interrupting her. She let you speak. Let her. Charlie, every time he does this, it's so childish. Like this is like, oh, I'm making her mad. I'm making her. She's a college student. Like, what are you getting out of making a college student mad?
Person who is
it's
dealing
it's very
with the
childish.
pregnancy. I am not talking about the cells. I don't
the
care.
cells.
No, listen. the fetus, the whatever. I don't care about that right now
Whatever.
until it is
Wow.
formed. If there
when
is
does it become formed?
if there is a 5-year-old child who is pregnant and the baby
Okay.
is 2 weeks in
5-year-olds
utero,
can't get pregnant.
actually
Okay.
they have given birth. There is
5-year-olds have
yes.
given pregnant.
There
I
is
stand
one.
corrected.
There is one recorded case of a
Okay, I
5-year-old
stand
girl who
corrected.
gave birth.
Is that common?
Yes, it's common. 5-year-olds get sometimes, and
Okay,
if they get pregnant,
5-year-olds
I
get
think they should be
pregnant.
able.
Kinda, to be fair, Kirk used an example of a rare circumstance that took place recently. So, I mean, did you move on to the next question? College is a scam. All right, let's go to the
Majority
next
of
one.
people
Sorry
who
about
will
that.
go through the institution or business, they're not getting their money's worth, their time's worth, and they're being deceived.
To something that could save not only just life.
And so her belief system, just so we're clear, is that
The time's up.
yeah, no, I got it. It's fine. I mean, it's insanely nasty, and we'll talk again. My next claim is that
God,
college is a
Cooked
scam.
mad. Oh, that's hilarious. College is a scam.
Hello.
Hello,
I'm Charlie.
hello.
What's your name?
I'm Maddox. How are you
Nice to
doing?
meet you. Good.
So, college is a scam.
Well, let's define our terms. College being traditional four-year college.
Of course.
University, not community college or technical college.
Of course.
A scam, if we can agree on a definition, is where a majority of people who will go through the institution or business, they're not getting their money's worth, their time's worth, and they're being deceived when they sign up.
They're being deceived when they sign up. How you differentiating community? You're differentiating certain schools. I mean, you're already trying to create a barrier to protect yourself. If you're gonna say college is a scam, then I don't know why you don't keep the same consistency with community college. Technical school maybe, but community college at least. But all right, let me hear them out.
So do we agree on those terms?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Well, what would further definitions? What do you think is the purpose of
So
going to college?
the purpose of college should be a traditional liberal arts education, the pursuit of what is good, true, and beautiful.
Okay.
That's not what it is. It should be the
What?
betterment of yourself and your soul, nurturing your character and becoming a better citizen, understanding the deeper things in life. At the very least, though, it should be preparing one for the job market. Do you think college does those things?
I think it does, but I would add on to your point that I think not only is it for the betterment of yourself, but it's for the betterment of society. We need historians.
College
We
does do
need
that,
certain
so I
majors
don't
that
know.
may not make as much money. I think those are for the betterment of society. Would you agree that there's some majors that may not
Other than him, let me just let it go.
make
It's
money,
too much
but are
in
still
the
essential
video.
to
It
society?
depends. Do you think that getting a degree in gender studies is good for society?
I would agree.
Just
yeah.
one
Why
degree?
would studying gender not be good for society?
Well, learning that men can give birth is not exactly a good use of time, is it?
is that what they're teaching in college
A
right
lot
now?
of colleges, yeah. According to the Center for Disease Control,
college
they no
is
longer
not
say
a
women
scam,
can
you
give
just
birth,
hate
they say
gender
birthing
studies.
persons.
Then
Okay.
create a
Do you think
more
men can give
specific
birth?
prompt.
Do I think men can give birth? I think that.
Yes or
a
no
It's
person-
question?
not about men.
I
or
think that a
giving
person
birth.
who is assigned male at
It's about
birth, I
college.
don't think they can give
Assigned
birth.
male at birth, so people are not male at birth?
I think that a
See,
person
your evidence that college is a scam, my friend.
college is a
What are
scam.
you
You're
talking
lacking in a
about,
lot
Well,
of
here
wisdom.
we can continue right now. So, gender studies. Do you think that studying gender is not essential? Should we
I mean,
not deepen our
Well, first
understanding
of all,
of
I don't
gender?
think
I'm
gender.
confused.
We're going to get there later. I don't think gender exists. I
Okay.
think that there are two sexes, infinite personalities, and no genders. However, let's get back to the
That's-
core contention.
Well, here, can I ask my question
Scam.
again, real quick?
Well,
why do you think?
I'm going to get back to my core contention. A scam. So the majority of kids that go to college, if they end up getting a job at all, they end up getting a job that does not require a college degree.
Do you think that certain jobs that may not
The majority of students getting a job that doesn't require a college degree, I don't think he can prove that at all. Not a college degree at all? I don't think he can prove that claim. I don't think he can prove that claim a bit.
not associated with a direct major can incorporate skills that you learn from a major. I think I'm an econ major, and depending on what job I do in the future, I can still use
Awesome.
the
So,
skills
so,
earned from
so
that.
tell me about Milton Friedman.
Tell me about Milton Friedman. He is an economist from
How about Thomas Sowell?
Thomas Sowell.
Ludwig von Mises.
Ludwig. Well, I will say that I
This is not proving a point. It's not about learning about individuals. It's about learning about the concepts to help you understand certain aspects and giving you a baseline to enter into that field to reignite, especially once you learn things that you already kind of learned. It reignites those portions of your brain to better connect the pieces that you're being told. It's not about knowing individuals in particular that you've seen from a YouTube video. This is lazy, Charlie Kirk. This is disgusting. You're just trying to get a gotcha, and I'm disappointed. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing? I have criticized college consistently. I want to be very clear. But the way you are going down your line of questioning is not a true indicator on the flaws of college. Like, not at all. Of course, anybody on the internet knows who Thomas Sowell is because that's all. He's part of the certain political rhetoric, right? When you have as much free time as you do, of course you can dive into certain aspects. Oh my goodness, this is so disappointing.
I'm a first year.
How about
Like, this was pathetic.
I'd love to see you answer the gender studies question.
we will get there later. That's what psychedelics are for. Who's next?
What?
Well, I think it's difficult to think about just one major,
has a
thinking
very
about just gender
powerful
studies. Like, sure,
personality.
like not everyone should be a gender studies major. We need doctors, we need lawyers, we
agree.
need everything. However, why does it matter if 10 people want to be a gender studies major and it matters to them? Like, not everyone can be a lawyer, not everyone can be a doctor. There needs to be
Right,
some
not a
people,
lot of
and
people
you know what?
become
Yeah,
gender
it sucks
studies
that some people
majors.
do go to college and get a degree and then they end up not in a workforce for that. But I don't think that has to do with like college was a scam. It's more like maybe that just wasn't the
So-
path for them, or that life choice was just too hard to get for them. But some people are
points.
able to go to college and get a degree and use it, and that is super important because imagine if no doctors went to college, they're just like, I think I can do it.
Well, of course,
Like,
doctors and lawyers need credentialing, right? But
So college.
less than 5% of all people that go to college end up studying medicine or in legal. The vast majority go into soft social sciences, communications, or the humanities. So you're in college or have been, is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you forced to take classes that
I just want to be very clear. Social sciences. So we have anthropologists, psychologists, sociologists. We would have political scientists, international relations, people who do international affairs or do diplomatic type of career or career paths, and they're able to enter into certain. I don't need to explain this. Charlie Kirk is speaking nonsense.
that you think are a waste of time?
Philosophers.
I'm for-
Okay,
I- you
hold
know
on,
what?
hold on.
Shut
So
up.
they're taking your money and they're forcing you that they're a waste of time. That's kind of scammy,
What?
right?
Oh, I think that some classes
Ooh, some. So you have to probably go in debt, right?
depends.
Okay. Are you
On
going?
what
Are you
college you
going
go
into?
to
Are you
and-
going into debt?
No,
Okay, well that's good.
I picked a school that actually offered me a scholarship.
Oh,
and
so
I
someone
picked a
else is
school
paying
that
for your
was good.
college.
Oh, I don't know. Depends on me. I mean,
Yo, I almost cussed. Ain't no way he's phrasing scholarships as someone else paying for your college. What the hell are you talking about? Did you go to school? Yo, please tell me that Charlie Cook. This is Charlie Kirk. The way these
that's
guns.
No, I'm
the
sorry,
school
that's
that wanted to
childish.
give me an opportunity. But that's not what we're talking about.
Well,
we're
it
talking
is. No, we're
about
talking about
is
the scam element, right? So you said
Right.
that there are some classes that if students had to go into debt or had to pay for,
Right.
would not be a good use of their time. So it's not representing students well.
well, do you think like high school is a scam then? Because I had to pay
Some-
for high
well-
school, but I'm not going to use AP US history in my psychology degree ever.
Well, I think AP US history is actually a really good use of time, knowing about your country and your history. And
But I'm not going to
Jefferson,
use that
Madison.
in
and
my
choosing
career.
which
That's what we're
education
talking about in
you're
the career
devaluing.
path
Life.
for
Well,
college.
let's go
the
back to
career
what I
path.
said, right? We said traditional college, right?
Okay.
Four-year college. And what a scam is, or a majority of the
Right.
people that will go through the enterprise, the business, or the institution are not getting their time worth or their money worth. So therefore, I go back to my core
you're picking
contention,
Okay.
specific
which is a
job
majority of
markets.
kids that exit college will not use their degree at all when they go to find a job.
But if you ask
But
them,
you-
do you
okay,
think
that-
college was
at
a
that
scam?
point,
I
you
don't think
changed
majority
your
of them are going to
statement.
say yes. Some of them will. Some of them are
Well,
going to
not
be.
everyone who's being scammed actively knows they're being scammed.
But
People
it's
still
not-
buy erectile dysfunction drugs off the internet and they get
Okay,
scammed.
that's their own,
People
like,
still,
personal choice,
people,
though.
Of course, people have choices to be scammed. I'm not saying they don't have a choice. I'm making an observation analysis of the institution. For example, flying Spirit Airlines, kind of a scam.
Okay.
Should be shut down. There is some, yeah, kind of agree. There are some things in life we have to take a step back and like, oh, the consumer is not
But
being well served.
you want to
And
shut down a bunch
That's
of
flawless.
majors
I'm
in
not shutting- I've
colleges
never
that
said
you
that.
think
That
are
college is a
scams?
No, I never
scam.
said that.
So what would your
Raising
proposal be to
there's-
fix the
Kurt,
scam
there's-
of college?
There is no proposal. I'm simply, the
There's no
contention is college
proposal
is a
and
scam.
make-
So then what's the point of that statement?
To get you to agree.
But like, what would that
Yo, she's
do? Like,
cooking
what do you
Charlie
want to
Kirk.
fix
Oh my
in
God.
college
No,
that's going to help it not be a scam?
We can get to step interval 2 as long as you can agree that college is a scam.
No, you don't need to. Yo, Kirk. You're not this. Like, I know Kirk is a smart guy. Why is he trying so hard to win it? Like, I guarantee if I was in the same situation as Kirk, I would be able to have a productive conversation with every person here, or at the very least, help them understand my point of view. And I don't get paid as much as Kirk to do what he does. You understand that you don't need to qualify something as extreme as calling it a scam. A scam, we know what it is. I don't need to explain it. College has flaws that I dislike vehemently. That doesn't make it a scam. You're better than this, Kirk. Oh my God.
No, because not for everyone. For me,
Well,
I'm
but a
using a
majority-
degree that's going to help people make better.
What are you studying?
Psychology and criminal justice.
Okay. So, and it's being paid for by somebody else, which is fine. That's good. So,
Okay, Kirk, you're done with it, bro. Like, it's being paid for what? What are you talking about? That's such a weird way to phrase things. I'm skipping ahead. Oh, he's gonna get kicked by this kid again?
pop quiz or trivia. I didn't go to college, and I'm asking you very basic civic questions, and you're paying to go to college, and you can't answer them.
That's so fair, but
Civics, I don't know. What
I
the
think-
question is. I don't know what I'm about to answer, but I have a feeling.
Thank
I
you.
know.
Sorry.
Oh my God. Yo, he's such a savage.
I have a question. Is church a scam?
No, because church is honoring the divine and the eternal and the good and the true and the beautiful. Is college?
But it deceives people because you give a promise of
hold on.
everlasting life, which you don't actually get because Christianity is contradictory logically speaking.
Do you want to get into a theological
I
debate, or are
don't
we going to
wanna
talk
get
about
into
college? Because
this.
Both.
I completely disagree. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and we will have eternal life.
Okay, so how if
Okay, let him cook, because he goes down weird logic trap holes, or logic trap holes, black holes. He goes down weird routes when it comes to finding a logical fallacy that it gets off-putting. It's kind of cringe. So,
there is a perfect being that created the world, how could we exist in an imperfect world?
I'm
an
happy to
imperfect
have this
creation?
discussion. Can we go back to college, though? Because do you think, because that's a little bit of a red herring and a little bit of a rabbit hole. Tell me what that has to do with college being a scam.
Well, I do think college can be a scam for certain people. I don't think it's a
Okay,
scam
so
for
we
everyone.
agree.
Though.
So-
for people like me, college was very beneficial for me.
For sure.
I'm
Well,
asking
who is
you-
it a
I'm
scam,
asking
though?
you, based upon your definition of a scam, do you consider the Christian church a scam?
Of course not. It's giving people eternal life and teaches them
Wait,
goodness.
but if
and-
Christianity is false, then that's a deception.
Okay, but you think it's false. I don't. We can agree to disagree. Also,
I'm not agreeing to disagree on that.
but we're not talking about the church. We're talking about college, right?
Yeah,
so
it's
again,
condescension
also
and kind of
people are not
respectful.
paying to go to church, are
But
they?
it's a reductio ad absurdum. Do you know what that is?
Ask the question.
What's a reductio ad absurdum?
That's a Latin term that means reducing down to the lowest common belief, correct?
Yeah, so I'm taking
Am
your
I right? I didn't
particular-
go to college. I knew.
this conversation is trans women are not women. All right, let's start out with question number 2. I'm skipping ahead because
What's your name?
it's
Sam.
way too
Nice to
long.
meet you. Let's define our terms. A woman is an adult female with XX chromosomes. You tell me what is a woman.
Only some
I think a woman is somebody who identifies as a woman.
Got it. So that's not a definition. That's like saying a table is something that identifies as a table. Give me an objective definition of
No,
how.
it's not. A table is an object.
Well, tell.
A table can't identify as anything. It doesn't have
but
choice.
You have to give me an objective definition of what a woman is.
If I decided right now that I wanted to identify as a woman, I would be a woman.
Okay, but that doesn't answer the question.
I know, but
you
right
said-
now I'm a man, right? So if
But
that
you have
happened
to
right
tell
now,
me
I'd be a
what that
woman.
thing
So
is.
What are we
once
talking
a
about?
person makes the decision to identify as a woman,
Got it. No,
they're a woman.
that's a separate issue. What is a woman?
That's the definition.
No, I know, but you have to tell me.
That's
What,
A person who identifies themselves as a woman.
but you have how do you know that they are that thing?
How do I don't need to know what they
No, no,
I
no,
can
no,
ask them if
not
I
that
want
they
to
need
know.
But there needs to be.
This
You need
is
to
a
tell me what.
ridiculous conversation.
Cody,
Cooking,
Did give you a definition. A definition.
Yeah. Get him out of here.
Hello.
He
Hi.
knew.
Juliana.
Juliana,
I remember,
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, you know what happened there? Hey, buddy saw a beautiful girl. No way. I'm playing the same trick I played on those 2 other dudes. No way. I'm talking back to a beautiful girl? Nah, that's not happening. That's funny.
I don't
respect
necessarily
it.
think that you can define a woman just by her chromosomes. Women are so much more than that. They come in a variety of
Agreed.
shapes, sizes, colors. And I don't
Colors is
necessarily think that you can
hilarious.
count out somebody who's trans just because they don't
Colors
have a
is
certain set of
hilarious.
chromosomes. There are also people who are born, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. Intersex?
Yes,
So
yes.
XXY or YYX.
Or just, or like X0 with nothing.
So natural mutations upon the binary, essentially, right?
Yes. So,
but they don't have both sex organs that both operate, right?
yeah, but that also I don't think necessarily works, right? Because if it's X,
One
just
is more
X,
dominant
and
than
there's
the
a
other. So
Okay,
you're either
that's-
more male or more female, right? So you might have both a penis and vagina, but there's never been a case of someone who can impregnate themselves.
Okay.
What's the fun of
I
saying
also
that?
don't necessarily think that works for this situation, but I also want to say that one of my best friends is trans, and I would say that she's more of a woman than I am. I think that women define themselves by multiple things, not just their sex organs. If somebody asked me
Agreed.
who I was as a woman, I would not say I have a vagina.
Totally fair.
I
So
would.
No, I think you said something smart. So you said that person is more of a woman than you are. Therefore, you're grading off a definition of something accomplishes womanhood. What is that?
I think well, that's a thing too, and I do think that gets a little complicated, right? Because there are social norms for a gender, but I do think we try to break that, right?
No, for sure.
Just-
But you said that specific friend is more of a woman than you are. Why?
I think she's a better person than me. I think she
So
lives
women are
life.
better people?
Stop with the gotchas. Oh my goodness. I understand what she's trying to say. I don't think she realizes what she's trying to say. I think she heard someone do this talking point before, which has value. And to break it down real quickly, is that you would go down defining a woman based off obviously biological functions. Now, you could argue those biological functions determine qualities that are inherently womanesque. At the very least, what we do know now is that, and we can't even really prove that with 100% certainty, because there's a lot of qualities now that are more womanly that we can't say ultimately that they are born from based off evolutionary prospects, a woman attribute. Hopefully all that makes sense. The reason why I say this is that if she went down the pathway in terms of defining the aspects of current society norms that are typical of a woman, that will determine a woman, as well as features of woman, determines of woman, and lastly, to kind of put everything together to finalize what is a woman, it would refer to chromosomes. So all of these play into determining what a woman is, and ultimately, in order for you to know for certain if she's a woman or not, you would have to ask their chromosomes, right? So
she's a better woman than I am. I'm not saying women are better people.
But what makes a woman a woman? Because you said she's more of a woman than you are. So I want to know what that definition is.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna let somebody else
That's all
go.
good.
Thank you.
I think she did a good job, all things considered. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Brandon.
All right, Parker. What is a woman?
A woman
Parker.
is an adult human person that has a desire to be in accordance with a particular set of social and cultural norms that are typically associated with the female sex. Now,
Got it.
define a man. Define a man.
You're looking at one XY chromosomes in a.
Okay, but
adult male.
does God the Father have XY chromosomes
Okay, back to
prior to
this.
incarnation?
Yo, this guy. Yo, he's kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie. He's a funny guy, unintentionally funny. I don't know why he brought God in it, but he did. Sure, I think he has things there. He just needs to fix how he's presenting the information and what he's intending to do in the conversation. The knowledge.
Literally have a religious
He's
topic
a
later.
father and he's him, but he's not a man?
We have a religious
Wait,
topic
so a
later.
man is someone with XY chromosomes, but he doesn't
Okay.
have XY chromosomes, yet he's still a man and he still
so
uses preferred
it's
pronouns?
actually very interesting. In the original Hebrew, Adonai, do you know what Adonai is? It's the Hebrew word for God. It's
yeah.
actually genderless, but in the scriptures, they use he, right? And they use the masculine. Jesus Christ came to earth as a man, not as a woman, not as genderqueer. But let's go back to the.
But God the Father's a man, right? Because all fathers are men.
Well, first of all, there's a Trinity. So God the Father is neither man nor woman. He is omniscient, omnipotent. He is all being on top
So
of
why
it.
do you use he?
Well, I did not. The scriptures do. You could use woman. You could say her. You could use him. But the way that the language is structured, again, it is so. God the Father is so above gender. It is so above any of our understanding.
Then why use
with
him?
glory and understanding? Again, because you have to make a choice, either he or him or her in the original scriptures. Let's go back to. I'm happy
Some
to get into
fathers
that,
aren't men and boys?
but- So
So some fathers
I'm
are not men and boys,
well,
not men or
well,
boys.
I'm sorry. What
Some
do you-
fathers are not male.
No, of course they are. I'm not.
Wait, so God the Father's a male?
Hold on. God the Father. So where do we get God the Father from? What Greek word?
From your scripture.
Well, from Abba, right, which is a very close personal term.
You're not answering my
right?
questions, and you're bringing up random language that doesn't matter.
Well, it actually does.
No,
okay?
it doesn't.
But let me get down to the root of it, because
he's not a man. You know he's not a man under your worldview. Yet you still use his preferred pronouns. You still call him a man.
Christ is a
but
man.
You don't do that with trans people because you're transphobic. That's why.
Okay, got it.
Yo, base white liberal. I could see him doing a lot of crazy things. He's I think he just needs to rein it in.
But Christ is a man. I'm happy to get into the sexuality. And
There's no small gaming. Okay, so if there's
hold on. If there was not before the incarnation, how did Jacob see the face of God? How did Jacob wrestle with God?
Characters can have faces without biology.
How did Jacob wrestle with God?
So okay, do you think that he has a body?
Well, that's,
or was that a
what?
Oh my goodness, I didn't hear about this.
Wrong.
He's cooking Kirk, but I don't care.
Phenotypical expression.
Right. So, but do you think? But Rachel Dolezal, that said she is black and culturally black, is she black?
Does she have phenotypically characteristics we would associate
Define
with people who are
phenotypical. I'm not sure what that word means.
Phenotypical. It's going to be the expression.
So
of
melanin
particular
content in one's skin.
Yes.
Okay. So she could pass as a black person.
Wait. So she doesn't have the melanin content.
She's borderline.
No.
Heavily.
Okay. So then she's not black.
Okay. So you're able to say who is black and not black?
That's how we define it in society. No shit.
Okay, got it. So, but is there an objective definition of who is black?
Wait, language is all subjective. Linguistics professionals indicate it's subjective.
Language is all subjective?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Every
really?
word you just used was created by other human beings that are engaging in conversation.
No,
you might think it's created by God, but even then it's still subjective.
Got it. But now we're getting somewhere.
God's a subject.
Now we're getting somewhere. Is the word and the value behind murder objective or subjective?
Well, I think morality is subjective, but you think it's subjective too because it comes from God.
That's interesting.
Wait, does it come from God or independent of God?
Well, no, of course it comes from God. It's transcendent.
That's subjective. That's subjective. Yes, it is. No. If it comes from God, it's specifically subjective. If it comes independent of God, then it's objective.
No,
what you just told me is also compatible with moral anti-realism.
So let's go back to the Ten Commandments.
You don't understand metaethics.
Well, hold on a second.
What does subjective morality mean? What does it mean?
Subjective morality means that it comes in everybody's own opinion, their own form,
True
not
dependent upon a stance.
Again,
God is a stance, and that's the truth of morality.
So if let's believe, do you believe in if everybody believed in the concept of God, the transcendent God, that there was a 10 commandments and we should live by them, right? Is that objective morality?
No.
Why are we talking about
just because people agree doesn't make it objective.
Okay, then what?
Again, independent of a stance.
What is
agreeance is not independent of a stance.
What is objective morality then? Sorry, thanks. We'll be back at it next time.
I'm not gonna lie, this guy is cooking Kirk.
Mason, good to
How
meet
are
you.
you? Nice to meet you. Okay.
So I think it's a little scummy that you're plagiarizing the whole Matt Walsh thing. Like your
Dude,
thing is
I pay
the
him
worship of Israel and everything like that.
I pay him
like,
royalties.
Okay, for sure. Well, do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
I don't think gender exists. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personality.
Okay, well, if we're talking about sex,
exists.
which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're
And
already incorrect. Like sex is not binary, it's bimodal. So if we look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already talked about intersex.
Right.
Correct.
However, with intersex though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on, but
we're talking about an entire spectrum.
Which
like
sex
you're
organ
by
is
definition
dominant, though?
defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. That like XXY.
For
example,
you're trying to create this own box and then use any examples that are outside of that box
you brought up
to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
What sex organs? Which one is more dominant?
What do you mean?
In an XXY situation.
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I
on
mean,
that?
obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX. One of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
Okay.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
Okay.
Do you understand how
so he got cooked? He got cooked. He didn't know how to answer that question, so he moved on to the gender. All right, let's dive right into it.
So we're moving off of sex because you're ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it.
Okay.
You want to keep going into it?
we can.
kept
if you
that.
like.
Okay, so besides male and female, what categories exist?
We have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution
Like-
graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
Somewhat of an understanding. Yeah.
Okay, well,
So
you
I'm-
can
I'm-
be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you, but it's actually a bimodal
So
distribution.
just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to
That's what you do that's what you do a lot. So I'm not really I don't feel bad for you, but it does get a little it gets a little cringe all this like, "Oh, I'm better than you" type. All of that is cringe to me.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
Got it. So trans women are not women. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yo, he's cooking. Yo, this is Kirk. My hand is on fire. He's cooking Kirk. Because everything that I say, he is saying exactly what I'm saying. I'm like, bro, he's doing exactly what. Hey, shout out.
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which seems like you want to do. What type of genitals would you say I have since you're so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your trillions of cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think.
But nobody determines a man or a woman based on blood tests. Like, if you meet someone, you're gonna pretty much know if they're a man or a woman, right?
That you are a man, but you could fool me. You could take hormones. You could play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing, though.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
Yeah. So
like if we were at a restaurant, right? I'm sitting down at you're a man, and I'm sitting down at the table, and you're telling the waiter, "Hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?"
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah.
Well,
so I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you'd correct yourself, right?
That take maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not.
It's not. Oh, I don't need to say anything. He's about to cook Kirk right now.
Costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
So you could
yes,
act
that's
it.
what gender is.
Okay,
great
got
job.
it. So you could it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. So these are social. These
what
are
are these
womanhood can be appropriated.
No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that.
Correct. Yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years,
for sure.
you'll see a difference when it comes to those.
Like for example, the Mayans had plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay,
so,
we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law and due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that your
defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's
okay.
fine.
I think the Mayans would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional arguments.
Yeah, let's go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a
Nation?
fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, over killing and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the child sacrifice?
And this is the condescending tone that why I'm trying to match it is because
you mean all the child sacrifice?
Kirk is oh my god, he is filleting Kirk right now. He is filleting Kirk. Oh my goodness. This is a college student, right? College student, man. He's filleting Charlie Kirk right now. Because Kirk is just starting all his arguments are the typical Republican arguments that are used based off certain things that are hitting a logical conclusion based on how this guy on the right, don't remember his name, are framing the arguments that he's making.
Sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top of temples. Great civilization.
Do you want to go back into the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the child marriage, and we can talk about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't though, because at the beginning of Genesis,
so God just said like, nah, just kidding, dog. Don't actually kill your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove
Abraham.
Obedience.
Yes, yeah, that's right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least? Can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay.
That.
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, but you're doing it's fine. But did you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on the extreme.
I don't see how it would get out of control because
even in sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront, people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was a...
Yeah, and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates. Your endocrinology is different.
So if you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of cis men are...
You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know, Ronda Rousey could kick my ass, I will say that.
No, for sure, but I mean, but could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks, right?
But she's at the peak
of
though.
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of...
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
Well, she's a cis woman and
Correct, a cis man.
But yes, and he could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels. If you want to change the hormones, we can change the categorization. But you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most fair category. Then we have to allow all women and all men.
But again, those things don't. So I just want to be clear. So because I think I'm tracking your argument, is that in the University of Pennsylvania swim team, when Thomas swam against biological women, you're perfectly fine with that.
I think as long as we have the categories that way.
Thanks.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
I thought he did a very good job.
I want to get him in. This isn't debated yet. No, you're fine. You're fine. What's your name?
Hi, my name is Preeti. Nice to meet
Brittany,
you.
nice to meet you. Go ahead.
Preeti.
Preeti,
P-R-E-E-T.
I'm sorry.
You're totally
yeah.
Okay, so I kind of want to go back to a little earlier. You said that Parker has lower T than you. So would you say?
It's all a joke.
Yeah. No. I'm fully aware it's a joke. But I guess on that point, do you think that T has to do, or testosterone has to do with your manhood?
No. Well, yes and no. I mean, if you are looking at typical testosterone estrogen rates of women, they are far different than those of men. But for example, your testosterone rate goes down when you have children. For example, when you're a man, that doesn't make you less of a man. They go down by about 400 points.
Okay, but when we were talking earlier about sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying that the reason why it's unfair for for example, a trans woman who used to be a man to be competing in women's sports, you cited that they have higher testosterone levels.
One of about 50 characteristics. Also lung density. Their men's hearts are bigger.
Okay.
We have greater bone density, muscle mass.
Okay,
tend to be faster, tend to be stronger.
I understand. But those factors all come from the hormones during the development process, correct?
No, not necessarily. No.
I mean, most of them do.
Well, not all of them. So, for example, you could try to pump a young girl's body with testosterone at 8 years old, and you can get them stronger. You cannot necessarily get them on par with a biological male at puberty. You cannot. You could try.
Okay, but
because there's something in the coding of our genetics.
Right. The coding of our genetics, which is often controlled by different I guess parts of our DNA and also the hormones that are produced that affect the effective coding of how
we're more than endocrinology,
produced.
But it's a big part. Because for example, if you just give a kid testosterone, that doesn't even get them close to becoming a male, or estrogen giving them a female.
Okay.
They might get characteristics that are close to that.
Right. Okay.
But it doesn't. For example,
but I mean, there's no perfect image of this is what a female looks like. This is what a male looks like.
But
we all get our periods at different ages. Some of us and also for example, there are many circumstances where womanhood is just not one thing, right? It's a multitude of experiences
for
that
sure.
every single person.
Can you define what womanhood is? That's an interesting question for you.
Well, no, I can't define what womanhood is. And the reason why is because it's something that's an individual experience for every single person, right? My experiences, what I have experienced throughout my life is not going to be the same as another woman who may have grown up in a different environment.
Kamala Harris, first and foremost, there are a lot of criticisms that you can't.
How would you define race?
Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate.
My next claim is that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate.
Oh, he's about to cook him again.
A lot of competition, Mason.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Can I define what a DEI candidate is?
I think that you're going to say because she's black and she's a woman, she was appointed because Joe Biden promised that, and it's not a testament to her success.
Not only that, but also in her getting the nomination of the Democrat Party, they said repeatedly, we do not want to pass over a black female.
Okay.
So just those two things, but the first one is stronger. You're right. Joe Biden said, I'm going to put on my vice presidency a black female. Right. So his criteria was
kept.
Yeah, and that was like Karen Bass and Kamala Harris.
Okay.
So she was not chosen because of her intellect or her accomplishments.
You don't know
or
that.
because of any of that.
You don't
It was
know that.
because
You
she
don't know
happened
any
to
of
fit a
that.
couple boxes. In fact, Amy Klobuchar, the vetting at the time was that Amy Klobuchar would have been a better VP, and Kamala ended up getting it. So it's just a statement of fact
How
that
do
she
you
is
know
there
that?
not because
Said
of
by
her
who?
brilliance or accomplishments, but because of her ethnicity.
So Kamala Harris, first and foremost, there are a lot of criticisms that you can give to her on why she wouldn't be an effective president. It shouldn't be because she's a woman or because she's black. And it seems to be that you're
that's
saying
not
that
it.
as
No,
a criticism.
I just want people to understand and agree she didn't earn this.
She
Because-
absolutely did.
well,
She
no,
has
hold on a
she has a
second.
career where she's
No,
been not only a DA,
DEI stands
of
for
one of the biggest.
didn't earn it, just so we're clear. But like
It stands for diversity, equity, inclusion. I like the meme though.
I know what it is. But do you at least admit and acknowledge that when Joe Biden was searching for a VP, he cared more about skin color and a female than the smartest, best person?
So the whole conversation with this affirmative
that?
action with DEI, the whole reason why people bring it in is to make this imaginary scenario that there's a super qualified white man who was overpassed by this unqualified, stupid idiot
hold on,
person
but
of color.
his own-
which is
Okay.
such a
His
terrible
own team
analogy
said that.
because it's not true.
His own team
It's
said it.
absolutely not true.
But Mason,
That's not what it is.
his
Joe
own
Biden
team-
did not say, I'm going to choose an unqualified person
hold on.
and just
His
because
own
she's black.
team- his own team
He's
said it.
saying that I'm going to have two qualified people. If one comes from a different experience, it might be better to have a
No, that's not
diversity
what he
and have a
said.
better
Yes,
perception.
that is what he's
informs
saying.
the
He said
government.
at the South
Yo,
Carolina
these
debate
Mason has
that I
exactly
will
the
pick
right
a
point.
black woman as my vice president. Secondly, Amy Klobuchar came out.
Is this a random black
Can I-
woman
can I
that he
finish?
plucked off the street?
Can I
Or is this a
finish?
qualified
Can I
DEA,
finish?
general attorney?
No, he's creating so many conclusions based off this offhand statement, but within context, like if he's being a genuine person, realize how ridiculous it sounds to say that Kamala Harris is super unqualified and she only got it because she's a black woman. That's ridiculous. That is that's unprofessional. That's
Attorney who's had a decorated career
I'd like to
leading
finish my
government
thought,
positions.
but
you keep rambling about things that just aren't relevant to what we're talking about.
It is relevant. Amy Klobuchar in vetting came across as the more qualified candidate.
Why?
Because
Says
they said
who?
Kamala Harris wasn't very smart, wasn't very bright. That's their
Who
own
said
vetting
this?
documents.
From who?
Joe Biden's own vetting documents
So
showed
why would he go against that?
because the
Vice president candidates vetted by then Democratic nominee President Biden had to submit documents to more than a dozen lawyers. In general, vice presidential vetting goes over every aspect of the candidate's life down to their high school romances. I need to see the document, and please, if you know, I need to see the document where he says she's unintelligent and unqualified. Please, let me see that.
base of the Democrat Party demands tribal politics and DEI politics over competency.
That's completely inaccurate.
He stated to Jim Clyburn said, I will only endorse you in the South Carolina primary if you say that you're going to put a black person, preferably a black female, on your ticket with you. Therefore, you winnow the entire universe down and say, I'm only going to choose from this criteria. And let's just think more broadly. If you're about to have heart surgery, would you rather have a heart surgeon that's good and excellent, knows what he's doing, or someone that is a black female?
So,
and being president's more important than being a heart surgeon.
Aren't you on record saying that you'd be terrified if there was a black pilot
Yeah,
that was flying
yes,
your
I did
airplane?
say that. But why?
Okay, cool.
What was the full quote?
I personally, I don't know. If you want to expand on that.
Yeah, so this ties into this. United Airlines said that half of all their new hirees are going to be black or women, and that standards and pursuit of excellence is not going to be taken as seriously as diversity. When I'm flying a plane,
I don't believe that at all.
I
don't
want to
think
know
they
my
said
pilot
that.
is there because they're a good
I feel
pilot.
like
not
Charlie Kirk is mischaracterizing so many things to fit in his bubble of argument, fit in the argument bubble that he's creating. I don't
because they
believe
fit
said
some
that.
DEI box.
Damn it! I wish we could have a better conversation.
I'm sorry, man. Fast, man.
Okay, so let's say
Oh, here we
that
go.
Kamala Harris was the DEI hire as vice president. Do you think she's also a DEI hire as the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party?
Potentially, yeah. I mean, they decided to go to her almost immediately because she is the VP, but also because she fits some criteria boxes. But let me ask you.
You don't think it's because Joe Biden
in mind for the role? No way does that insinuate that she's DEI.
Well, what is DEI then?
DEI would be,
Choosing somebody based on their race?
no, it's giving people of color the opportunity to be welcomed into spaces in which they typically
Like Kamala
aren't
Harris?
able to get
There's
into.
never been a female black vice president.
And why do you think that is?
Well, not why. You just said that's DEI. So
that
by definition, she's DEI.
okay, so she
So
represents diversity within the government.
Well,
Is
no, but
what
I'm
you're
just
saying.
saying she got elevated because she was
No.
a black female. Because
If that were the case, I'd be the president right now.
do you
like,
do you think Kamala Harris was chosen because of her intelligence?
her qualifications and her intelligence?
Really? Wow.
If you
What's her
compare
what's
a
her
speech
greatest
with
accomplishment?
Kamala
What's her greatest
Probably
accomplishment?
being prosecutor within the Northern Californian
Oh, really?
area.
You mean letting out violent criminals and turning San Francisco one of the most murderous, dangerous, arson-filled, homeless-filled...
Oh my, everything is politically charged with this guy. I don't know enough about Kamala Harris to like deep because he searches. You know it's tough, right? Like people like Charlie Kirk, it's their job to search up these ridiculous arguments every single day, and being able to argue and articulate what their stance are to a wider audience. The fact that he does this every day and his arguments are so absolute dog shit it's very disappointing. It's very disappointing. I'm gonna say that because now Kamala Harris is not a qualified. What's the next question? I'm actually curious on what she has to say. Let's hear her out.
Aw, thanks, guys. Okay. Hi, how you doing?
Great.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, and I feel like my main fallacy with this argument is that competency can't be objectively determined because we all have subjective definitions of what a competent politician is. But my question for you is if Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, why is she beating Trump in the polls right now?
We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, but she's currently beating Trump in the polls. So either
If the polls are right, I grant you that.
he's incompetent,
or maybe she's a new candidate with a big surge.
she's doing good.
I would caution you being a little, like, this point in the election, getting too cocky, because we remember what happened with
I'm not
Hillary
getting
Clinton.
cocky. I'm asking you to answer a question. If she is incompetent, how could she beat the
Well,
president, who you said is an amazing
As of the timing of
president
this filming,
for-
can you name to me how many times she sat down for an interview?
What does that have to do with what she asked? He has prepared talking points. That has nothing to do with what she's asked. That has nothing to do.
She refuses to talk to the press, refuses to take questions. She's done not one sit-down interview in nearly 25 days at the filming of this interview, mind you.
I
which
think
I don't know
that
when this
is
will be
a
posted.
very weird point to make.
Well,
why would
why
I
is it-
count how many times Kamala Harris
because
has
it's
had
zero,
an interview?
because she refuses to take questions from the press and media. Like, shouldn't you do that if you're the sitting vice president?
She's
He actually did 3 last Sunday and 1 today with Meet the Press.
so the
Kirsten
qualification
Welker,
of a
I'm
good
debating her, though.
president is to take an interview.
If you can't take a single question, but let me ask you this because it's on you. What's her greatest accomplishment as vice president?
This is probably before the debate, but this point that he's making is not a good one. I don't expect her to be able to answer it. Oh, do we got? Let's see what Parker I think has to say.
I think it's going to take the entire time.
You're welcome.
30 on, 30 off.
How do you feel about the Senate?
As
Electoral
far as
college?
her tie-breaking vote of the Senate?
No. I'm just saying like Senate. Like the Senate is technically DEI in a certain sense for like small states. Like Wyoming gets people in Wyoming get a
like
greater
Rhode
vote
Island
than me in
and Hawaii.
California.
Like Rhode Island and Hawaii?
I'm giving you an example. California, I get less of a vote than someone who exists in Wyoming. So we're giving people in Wyoming more say than they necessarily should, given that they're one individual. So why do you believe in DEI as it relates to how our government is set up? But you don't believe in DEI in terms of allowing for people who are black or who are women to be in positions of power that they have not been allowed in historically speaking.
Got it. So is the Electoral College and the Senate based on race?
It's predicated off of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
How is
right?
that?
Like inclusion of country areas, inclusion of rural areas, inclusion of white men like you.
Okay, so you mean like...
I hate this questioning. Is there one more? Affirmative action is constitutional. Is constitutional or is not constitutional? I'm guessing it's not. I don't care about affirmative action inherently. But I do think there is certain value of affirmative action when it was initially introduced, which I will stand by. But that's all we got for today. Overall, Charlie Kirk, some of these college students obviously were out of their depth, but there are certain college students that was absolutely cooking Charlie Kirk in some of these conversations. And, you know, for someone who thinks college is a scam, I mean, to educate a teenager well enough to defeat you, whose your job is to do political debates every day, don't you think the college is doing a pretty good job? Or maybe not. Maybe not. With that said, hope you guys enjoyed. You have a good one. Take care. Peace.